Hello there, and welcome back to another review. And I'm happy to have with me once again, Shaun Fiscus sitting in. Shaun, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Okay, and our next film that we're going to be reviewing is the updated horror remake, A Nightmare on Elm Street, made popular in the early 1980s by Wes Craven and by Robert Englund as everybody's favorite slasher, Freddy Kruger. This film here comes to us from director Samuel Behr. Even though you've never heard of Samuel Behr, he has actually directed some of the more famous music videos for the last 2 decades, including Smells Like Teen Spirit from Nirvana and Blind Melon's No Rain with everybody's favorite
Bumblebee Girl.
Bumblebee Girl. Well, he's updated this for the new millennium, and Shaun, why don't you tell us a little bit about the film?
Alright, thanks, Nick. Nightmare on Elm Street is the story of Freddy Kruger, played by Jackie Earle Haley, who's a janitor at, I would say, like a preschool?
Yes,
a preschool.
Yes.
And one day the parents become suspicious, and they find out that he is abusing the children. So they decide to take the law in their own hands and hunt him down, and they trap him in a warehouse, and they decide to burn him alive.
Yes.
And then many years later, he begins haunting the children that are now young adults in their dreams. And once they die in their dreams, they die in real life.
Yes. One of the problems I think I have right off the bat with this film is, like you said, he gave us the backstory. We all learned that backstory in the original Nightmare on Elm Street that came out 25 years ago. It didn't really, it didn't tell us, it didn't expand anything. And I think that was one of the parts of I thought that the part where they were chasing him, I thought all that backstory had so much promise that could have been told to us.
I thought when I heard they're doing a new Nightmare on Elm Street, I thought they were going to expand on his backstory. They didn't. No,
they didn't at all. And I tell you, what came to mind right off the bat is I thought that they should have looked to Rob Zombie and his playbook, because what he did with the updated version of the Halloween franchise, which I think started all this, the updated remakes of these, he added a whole dimension to this film about maybe the root cause of why Michael Myers became who he did.
And I like that.
And I liked it too.
That was the best part of the film.
Yeah, and he took it to the next level with Dr. Loomis.
It was more chilling to see Michael Myers as a younger child.
Right. And they went nowhere with this. They didn't see any. We didn't see any motivations.
No, you didn't know why he was such a disturbed individual.
Right.
Now, did you like the 1984 original? The one I recalled, it was very scary and chilling. And this update is none of those.
No, you know, it's funny you should say that. I couldn't agree with you more, because what I'm going to say is this I would consider a very gory film. It's a very bloody film, but it wasn't scary at all. It really wasn't scary at all.
You could see every twist and turn coming.
Yes, and
there's no surprises in this film.
And another thing, I thought that Jackie Earle Haley, who has proven himself 100 times over in the last 2 years, has nothing to do as Freddy Krueger.
In the original one, Robert Englund, he had the sadistic sense of humor when he was hunting these kids down, and not in this one. They got rid of that for some reason.
Now, I think that I had that as one of my notes too, that they stripped him of his comedic one-liners, but they didn't replace it with anything.
Nothing.
They didn't replace it with anything.
They show his claws coming down, and he
kills somebody, and then he leaves.
And he moves on to the next kid.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I thought the leads were miscast too. I thought the blonde, played by Katie Cassidy, should have been the lead girl. She was more interesting. She had potential as a scream queen, I thought.
And it did have some good moments. I mean, the opening sequence with the kid in the diner, I thought worked. I thought that worked really well.
That was Kellen Lutz from the Twilight series.
Oh, is that who that was?
That's Kellen Lutz. Yeah.
Not a fan of the Twilight series.
I'm not either, but he shows talent more than the other 2 leads that they chose to go with. The other 2 leads were played by what's her name? Rooney
something.
Mara
and Kyle Gallner.
I've never heard of these folks, and they cannot carry a movie.
No, they couldn't carry a movie.
They take over probably from the 40-minute point on, because Katie Cassidy was in like the first half hour or so, and I was enjoying her performance a little bit, but like I said, everything was predictable.
Everything was very predictable. I felt like if they were in, and we talked about this wonderful music video director who was sought after for many projects.
Yeah, and this is the movie he comes.
And this is what he comes out with. I mean, he really could have taken something to challenge him a little more.
This was not challenging at all.
It looked good. I mean, the movie looked good. I liked.
It's not in the category of like Repo Man.
No, that was horrible. That was absolutely horrible.
This is a bad movie.
Yeah, this is not a good movie. Even from a horror movie standpoint, when you know you're going into a horror film, you kind of put that in the front of your brain. Well, it's a horror movie. It's not an Academy Award winner.
Well, when you go in a horror movie, you either want to laugh a little bit or be scared or something. There was none of that in there.
No, this movie really didn't touch base on anything.
It just kind of sat there. You're like, why even bother updating?
Well, another thing too is, why go after the talent of Jackie Earle Haley as this iconic character if you're not going to utilize him in the least?
And folks, Freddy Kruger is one of the all-time greatest villains
ever.
And movie villains, you know, just alone on the original. A lot of the sequels were crap, not worth it.
Right.
You know,
but he's still a character worthy of being known in the history of film, and this update, I think, does nothing to solidify him in the history of film.
Nothing.
So if you had to give it stars, what are you going to give it?
I'll give it 1.5 stars, and that's basically on Katie Cassidy's performances. I also want to mention, I like Connie Britton from Friday Night Lights as Nancy's mother.
Oh, yes. She was actually you had Clancy Brown. He showed up as a kind of incredible performer.
And I can see Connie Britton's death scene at the end. Could you see that coming a mile away?
Nothing about this movie was surprising.
They foreshadow, they put the camera on the mirror, then they go to the table, and back to the mirror. You knew what was coming there. It was like...
I'm going to say that I'm right on the same page. Only because it was so disappointing, I'm going to give it a 1.5 stars as well.
1.5 stars.
And remember, people...
We're not always right.
Only when it comes to the movies.
Thank you.
For your attention.